Hello, I'm Noel Yance. Welcome to Westman This Week for April 18th. Here's what's making the headlines. The countdown for the election has begun, with just over a week left. Canadian tourism into the US has taken a hit. What's shocking is by how much. You can never be too young to be in college. We have all those stories and more on Westman This Week. American President Donald Trump has issued a stream of economic threats against Canada. Many Canadians have responded by saying they plan to stop buying American products. Our Erica Brake visited Brandon's Homes and Leisure Show to find out how this is impacting sales.
Federal election draws closer. The economy and its future is at the top of many Canadians' minds. This is even more true for business owners. With the constant looming of President Donald Trump's tariffs, Canadians are looking to buy local. As a result, business owners now say they have to look for new suppliers that, if not Canadian, are at least not American either.
Customers are looking elsewhere. They're looking Canadian, they're looking to Asia, they're looking to Europe for products that are Canada friendly.
While many businesses are searching for non-American suppliers, some companies that were already supplying mostly Canadian goods are having an easier time with the transition.
If anything, it's benefited us a little bit in the way of Canadians are now looking to source Canadian products. A lot of our products are Canadian sourced, and we just are basically looking to source outside of the U.S., so in any factor.
As tariffs continue to be changed day to day, the long-term effects on businesses are still unknown. In the meantime, many businesses say they are going to continue sourcing outside of America whenever possible. Erica Brake, Westman This Week, Brandon.
At Sorbonne College, students are learning the hard-boiled facts about hatching chicken eggs. With the story, here's our Matt Schroeder.
Things are getting exciting here at Assiniboine College. No yoke. Students are getting cracking with some hands-on learning.
These chicks are just newly hatched into the world. They are all under the care of students from the School of Agriculture and the Environment, part of the livestock management program. These chicks took about 21 days to hatch. For all that time, the eggs need constant temperature and humidity. This year, the students took on the exciting project of incubating over 160 eggs. The professor in charge says about 50% of the chicks normally hatch.
I mean, they have different milestones that we have to hit, kind of thing. Like at the beginning, we have to create a plan, and we have to make sure everyone's trained and knows what's happening. And then as I guess we grow the chicks, we have other milestones that we have to make sure they're fertilized. So then we have the students coming in and they're assessed whether they can tell whether the egg is fertilized or not. And then also, when we get to our next candling, where they can tell if it's actually still living or not, kind of thing. Yeah. And then honestly, it's more just participation. Like, do they come? Do they participate? And do they actually partake in the activities, which has been excellent.
Organizers say the work with chicks provides for a valuable hands-on learning experience for the students. For Westman This Week, I'm Matthew Schroeder in Brandon.
At least 5 million Canadians get migraines. With this neurological disease with no cure, and while there are treatment options, they don't work for everyone. Now, a new technology may help migraine sufferers find relief in the future.
It's a disabling disease that can significantly impact a person's life. Some migraine sufferers may find relief in medications or lifestyle changes, but not all of them.
There's still a number of individuals that get inadequate relief.
Cleveland Clinic neurologist Dr. Mary Ann Mays is medical advisor to My Helper, a company that's designed an investigational drug-free device not currently FDA approved. She's lead author of a study researching the device that was presented last week at the American Academy of Neurology annual meeting. The technology uses dry or dehumidified room temperature air to cool the nasal passage, which Mays says helps stop the activation of the part of the brain that's turned on during a migraine. 128 adult study participants who reported having multiple migraine attacks used the self-administered device at home to treat a single attack. 44 others used a sham device.
47% of individuals in the study reported complete pain freedom at 2 hours compared to only 16% in the sham group. So that was quite clinically significant and exciting to see.
Mays says of those studied who were pain-free after 2 hours, 41% remained that way for 24 hours and didn't need additional rescue medications.
Our hope is that the study will be concluded by November 2025, that we'll have some of the data, and that the company can submit for approval of the device in 2026.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Coffee is how a lot of us start our day. For the regulars at Tim Hortons, it's how they start every day. Kira Stevens knows what's brewing.
This Tim Hortons behind me was recently renovated, and when construction was happening, the employees had to make sure there was enough tables for their regulars. Every morning for the past 20 years, this group of retired grandpas have met together for a morning cup of coffee. Old coworkers, neighbors, and friends always make it out. They talk about everything from hockey to grandkids to the worst roads in town.
You talk about everything that's happened in the days before and days after.
When you're retired, it's hard to break the routine of having to wake up early each morning. So instead of waking up their wives, this group of early birds meets together to fill up their morning. Some of the members of the coffee crew say that they've been coming since this location has opened in Brandon. And from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., the group is here Monday to Friday. Kira Stevens, Westman This Week, Brandon.
We're all counting down the days to the Canadian general election. Canadians from coast to coast to coast are weighing their options. Our Sofia Frolova has this week's election countdown.
Hello and welcome to this week's election countdown. I'm Sofia Frolova and here is your roundup of the latest political news from the campaign trail. So let's get into it. The race is heating up. Only 2 weeks are left before Canadians head to the polls. Liberal leader Mark Carney addressed a controversy on Monday, apologizing for political tricks his party tried to play at a recent Conservative conference. Carney told an audience in Dorval, Quebec, that he was completely unaware that Liberal Party operatives had planted buttons at a Conservative event with the intent of embarrassing Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. The buttons mimicked Trump-style slogans and highlighted divisions within the Conservative Party. Carney apologized for the incident, calling it inappropriate and unprofessional. Carney confirmed that those involved have been, quote, reassigned. Carney said this type of behavior does not reflect his leadership or campaign values. The incident has drawn criticism during an already heated election period. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he'll use the notwithstanding clause to allow stacked life sentences for mass murderers. Poilievre calls it a way to end the, quote, liberal crime wave. The move would override a Supreme Court ruling that limited the amount of the time one person can spend in a prison for a crime. Liberal leader Mark Carney calls it a dangerous step that risks politicizing charter rights. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh agreed, saying it's wrong to sideline the charter and warning that fundamental rights should never be treated as optional. Justice reform is now front and center in the 2025 election. More news from Mark Carney. The Liberal Party leader has officially renounced his British and Irish citizenships. He initiated the move earlier this year before being sworn in as Canada's Prime Minister on March 14, 2025. Carney was born in Canada and acquired Irish citizenship through family ancestry and British citizenship during his tenure as Governor of the Bank of England. The renouncement follows recent attacks from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre questioning Carney's tax residency in Canada. Carney confirmed he pays taxes in Canada and has complied with all disclosure rules regarding his assets. Critics had previously used Carney's dual citizenships to challenge his commitment to Canada. A network of Facebook scam accounts is flooding the platform with deepfake videos featuring Mark Carney, Elon Musk, and fake news anchors. These fake news reports are part of a series of ads promoting political disinformation, including false claims about Carney. The surge of AI-generated content comes at a time when all legitimate news is blocked on Facebook in Canada. According to the Canadian Digital Media Research Network, 25% of Canadians report seeing fake news on the platform. The campaign warns that such information could influence public perception and the election outcome, as many Canadians continue to rely on Facebook for news despite the news block. The ads are often linked to fake websites and malicious content. It's not clear who is behind the disinformation efforts. Politics is not all that easy, and neither is the electoral system. Today, I have a short 101 on how Canada votes. There are 343 federal write-ins across Canada. These are so-called electoral districts. Each write-in gets one seat in the House of Commons. All of those seats are up for grabs in the federal election. The Senate is different. Senators are appointed. They don't run for election. Canada uses a first-past-the-post system. That means the candidate with the most votes in a write-in wins. That person becomes a member of parliament. Only the winner gets the seat. Other parties get nothing in that write-in. The party with the most MPs usually forms the government. The head of the party becomes prime minister. The runner-up becomes the official opposition. If no party wins a majority, it's called a hung parliament or a minority government. In that case, the leading party needs support from others to pass laws. So what are the seating projections right now? According to CBC News, if the elections were held today, the Liberals would be likely to win most seats and form a majority. The Conservatives would form a sizable opposition with roughly as many seats as they won in the last election, while Bloc and NDP would see their seat holdings significantly reduced. And just before we go, here's your latest update on where parties stand in the polls. Current national polls indicate the Liberals leading with 44% support. That's a consistent 6 to 7 point lead over Conservatives, who stand at 38%. The NDP holds 9%. The Bloc and Greens have 5 and 2% respectively. And that's all the time we have for our election countdown. Join us for result coverage on April 28th on WCG TV.
When this campaign started, Canadians were concerned about sovereignty and national security. U.S. President Trump made threats of annexing Canada and making our country the 51st state. That has many people thinking about our national defense. Stu Smoley takes a look at some of the big issues facing our military.
Thanks, Nolan. Among the big issues that have come up during the federal election campaign, the future direction of the Canadian Armed Forces. Ultimately, it's about the defense of Canada itself. There is long-standing demand that Canada begin spending at least 2% of its GDP on defense. Currently, Canada spends about 1.37%. President Trump now says the U.S. won't come to the aid of any country that has not met the 2% target. Trump also says he wants all NATO countries to more than double that amount to 5% of GDP. It was just 2 years ago the Liberal government announced it was cutting the armed forces and defense funding by nearly $1.7 billion. Now the Liberals promise we'll get to 2% GDP, but not until the year 2032. Another question is the procurement of new equipment. Recently, Canada brokered a deal with BAE Systems in Australia to purchase a new Arctic over-the-horizon radar. This system is slated to cost $4 billion to acquire. The U.S. was in line to buy the system. Canada swooped in and grabbed the purchase first. Meanwhile, Canada is also now revisiting its commitment to purchase American F-35 fighter jets. This was a deal worth over $13 billion for 88 of the F-35s. But amid growing tensions with the U.S., the NDP wants Canada to build its own jets. Another significant issue centers around personnel and recruitment levels. The Canadian Armed Forces consists of regular and reserve force and Canadian Ranger personnel. The target strength is 71,500 regular force and 68,000 in the reserve force. The current force strength? Regular force is 12% less than those numbers at 68,000. And reserve forces are off by a staggering 67% at only 23,000 personnel. So Canadians have a decision to make and messages to send to their representatives in government about sovereignty and defense. Those decisions will be made on election night, Monday, April 28th. Please join us for our full election coverage on WCG TV starting at 7:30 p.m. Back to you, Nolan.
We're taking a short break. Coming up next, we've got all the top international news of the week. Hope you'll stay with us.
On April 28th, we decide who will lead our country through these complicated times. In Brandon Souris, in Portage Lisgar, in Riding Mountain, All through our region and our country, men and women asking you to choose them on election night to protect our interests in Ottawa. 28 million Canadian voters, hundreds of choices, one night, one future. Join us live on election night on WCG TV.
Stories making international headlines this week. Hamas says on Tuesday it's studying an Israeli proposal. Welcome back, I'm Kira McKay. Here are a few of the stories making international headlines this week. Hamas says on Tuesday it's studying an Israeli proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza that would see 10 hostages released in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The proposal outlines an initial framework for a 45-day truce in the Palestinian enclave, during which the two sides would aim to negotiate a permanent ceasefire. The Israeli proposal also calls for the disarmament of Gaza and does not include a guarantee of a permanent end to the war, which Hamas has demanded as part of a comprehensive agreement. A Hamas official said the group will not agree to any Israeli ceasefire proposal that calls for its disarmament or sees Israeli forces return to Gaza after an initial withdrawal. The offer marks Israel's first proposal to bring back hostages from Gaza since it resumed the war in March. California is fighting back against President Donald Trump's tariff authority. California Governor Gavin Newsom is set to file a lawsuit in federal court, suing Trump over his use of emergency powers to unilaterally enact sweeping global tariffs. According to a news release from the California government, Newsom argues the tariffs hurt Californian families and businesses, citing a disrupted supply chain and inflated costs. And the lawsuit argues Trump lacks the authority to enact such sweeping tariffs, saying such action requires congressional approval. On Monday, a group of small U.S. businesses filed a lawsuit similarly arguing Trump's use of emergency powers was illegal, and Trump could not unilaterally impose tariffs. You've probably heard that Canadian tourism to the U.S. has dropped. What's surprising is by how much. The number far surpasses what was forecast. In March, the number of Canadians driving across the border into the U.S. dropped a staggering 32% over the same time last year. Air traffic from visitors from the Great White North also plummeted 13.5%. The U.S. Travel Association warned in February just a 10% drop in Canadian tourism would cost the U.S. about $2 billion. This follows 2 years of growth in inbound tourism. Canadians historically make up about a quarter of that, making them the largest cohort of foreign visitors to the U.S. Experts blame the decline on President Donald Trump's tariffs and his rhetoric, referring to Canada as the 51st state. The Trump administration has recently revoked the visas of more than 600 international students, faculty, and researchers across at least 90 American universities. It's not clear if all of these students whose visas have been terminated have to immediately leave the country or if they can continue to stay their education. Some of the students do not have criminal records. A new lawsuit alleges traffic stops and dismissed cases were used as justification for some of those revocations. It seeks to stop the revocation of the visas that haven't been revoked yet and to reinstate those that have already been revoked. Former Peruvian President Ollanta Humala and his wife Nadine Heredia have been sentenced to 15 years in prison on money laundering charges, the Peruvian judiciary announced Tuesday. The case relates to alleged illicit contributions to Humala's election campaigns in 2006 and 2011. Prosecutors had alleged that Humala's National Party received illicit contributions from the Venezuelan government and the Brazilian construction company Odebrecht to finance his campaigns. Humala and his wife had previously denied any wrongdoing. CNN is attempting to contact their attorneys for comment on Tuesday's verdict. Prosecutors were seeking 20 years in prison for the former president and 26 years for the former First Lady. That's all the time we have for international headlines. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this short break.
Hello and welcome to the Weekender for April 18. I'm John Lopez, and here's what's going on in and around Westman this weekend. The North Hill campus is hosting their annual Eggs Extravaganza. The hunt begins at 1:30 in the Lance Evans Center for the Trades and Technology. Pre-candy and prizes for participants. Bring your own basket. The 22nd Annual Alpaca Classic will be returning to the Keystone Center this weekend. Come see all the different alpacas for free. The show will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on April 19th and 9 a.m. to noon on the 20th. Pelican Lake Agricultural Society is back again with another Easter breakfast. Following breakfast will be an Easter egg hunt with the Easter Bunny. The breakfast is at 10:30 a.m. and the egg starts at 10:45 a.m. Breakfast is $15 at the Nanette Community Place. With the weather warming up, Westman naturalists are hosting a plant ID event this Saturday. Participants will be looked for and discuss plants and key methods of identification. Sign up is required. For more information, check out discoverwestman.com. Promises Bridal will be holding a pre-Easter egg hunt on Sunday, April 20th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 186 Brandon. There will be crabs, games, hot dogs, hot chocolate available. Pre-registration is required. You can call 204-728-7099 or email promisesbridal@email.com. The Those Guys a cappella are performing at the Source Glenwood Memorial Complex on Saturday. The show starts at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $30 for adults and $25 for the students. Tickets are available at the Parma Safe Stores or call Sharon at 204-483-2001 to reserve. So put your dancing shoes and get ready for a night of entertainment. Lady of the Lake is hosting an Easter brunch this Sunday from 10 to 4. Enjoy delicious food and the spring vibes as well as catch a glimpse of the Easter Bunny himself. Group of 6 or more are accepted, so bring your friends and make a reservation. If you're a fan of live music, Along for the Ride is playing at the 40 this Saturday. Catch your favorite rock and roll cover tunes. It's $10 at the door. Your ID is required. And for our movie lover, at the Landmark Cinema, we have Ellie and her Monster Team, which is animated kids movie about a ghost who knocks on the wrong door and alerts the outside world and now must team up with a crew of outsiders to save the monsters. Also at Landmark, we have Sinners, a thriller about two twin brothers that return to their hometown to try and leave their troubled lives behind. But as luck would have it, they discovered a greater evil waiting for them back home. At the Events Theater, we have Maria in a musical drama that follows a famous opera singer. Maria Callas played Angelina Jolie, who is living her final 7 days as she reflects on her life and career, and before her ultimate demise in 1977. Turning our attention to the weather, it is supposed to be nicer this weekend, starting with a high of 3 on Friday and a low of -2 with cloudy skies. And on Saturday, it will be sunny with a high of 11 and a low of -4. And lastly, on Easter Sunday, it will be a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 15 and a low of 2. So get out there and enjoy the mostly sunny holiday weekend. That's all the time we have for the Weekender. After the break, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. And before we leave you today, this week people around the world on April 17th marked International Bat Appreciation Day. Forget their spooky repetition and association with Halloween. These unique animals are often misunderstood. A bat is like no other creature on Earth. They're the only mammal capable of flight, outnumbering birds in the sky from dawn to dusk. Over 100,000 species claim the night sky. Although they may be small, they play a vital role in many ecosystems. From pollination to pest control, each bat consumes its body weight in mosquitoes each night. Colonies can reach in thousands of bats, so there's a lot of bugs gobble up. A movie-watching mouse gets his brain mapped in 3D, and a 10-year-old is graduating from one college and waiting to get into another. Coming up in today's, take a look at this.
Scientists recently pulled off the unthinkable, using a mouse mesmerized by movies to create the first precise 3D mapping of a mammal's brain. The study, a culmination of a decade's worth of research and published in the journal Nature, focused on a tiny section of the test mouse's brain. The subject was stimulated physically and mentally by running on a treadmill while being shown movie clips, including snippets from The Matrix. You know, the movie where the guy's subconscious gets plugged into a supercomputer. To wit, researchers then used their own supercomputers to map the activity of the mouse's mind, resulting in an unprecedented 3D map showing the form, function, and activity of thousands of neurons and brain cells and 500 million synapses, all from a sliver of tissue representing only 1/500th of the furry film buff's full brain. In other heady headlines, check out the big brain on this California 10-year-old. Alyssa Perales learned to read at just 2 years old, started doing algebra at 5, and began classes at Crafton Hills College when she was only 8. Now, this 10-year-old whiz kid is about to graduate with 2 associate's degrees and is waiting to hear if she got into Stanford. Finally, speaking of kids experienced beyond their years, this Texas teenager continues to defy the odds. After being diagnosed with terminal brain cancer at age 6, DJ Daniel set a goal of being sworn in at 1,000 police departments. Now 13 and still fighting, Daniel soared past his goal, being sworn in at 203 departments simultaneously, setting a potential world record in the process, and all while keeping his signature sense of humor.
But there's only one thing missing here. When do I go on patrol and when do I get paid?
Or take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
Thanks for being with us. On behalf of everyone here, I'm Nolan Yount. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you again soon.